Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we will be looking at taking off substructure works with thicknessing. This is whereby you're given a plan and the external walls have a foundation like this one, section YY, but the internal wall, one of the internal wall like this one, which is section XX here, doesn't have the foundation strip. It's not strip footing. What happens, so that it can have some extra strength, inside the hardcore the concrete is thicknessed, so there is some more thickness of concrete added where the hardcore was supposed to be. So this part we say that thicknessing has been done so that to increase the strength of the block wall on top. You can see there's a block wall here, 150 millimeters thick. So if in this diagram you can see we have a plan here whereby it measures 3600. Here we have 5800, we have 200 for the thickness of the external walls. On the wind side we have 28, we have 200 for the thickness of the wall, and 3600, 200 for the thickness of the wall. So the total length is 10,000. Then to get the total width, we can add all these dimensions to get the total width. And here we have the section YY, which is here, and the section XX, whereby we can see it here, and we can see it's where the thicknessing has been done. So we have the notes down here, whereby we are told the site is bushy and rock exists 1500 millimeters below ground level. We also have vegetable soil, which is average 200 millimeters deep, to be preserved on site. So these notes you have to take them into consideration, because all these ones you shall need them when you're doing your takeoff. You need to have them in mind so that you can just lift them and use what you're told to use. So we shall begin with this takeoff, and before then, if you're new to our channel and you haven't subscribed, kindly subscribe, and also you can hit the notification bell so that whenever we post new videos you can be notified. Thanks for your support, we appreciate your support. There are those who are always coming back, welcome so much. There are those who are sending questions. We are here to assist you. We are here, our channel, our mission of the channel is to assist students revise for their exams, especially in quantity surveying and in measurement specifically, in the easiest way possible. And here we are finding resources for you, which they are so hard to find in the books, and simplifying them for you so that you can find it so easy to revise for your exams, and also to get these concepts. For those who are in the industry and you're just fresh and maybe you're learning how to take off, we are here for you. So let's get going, and in the next step we shall know what is the procedure to follow when you are taking off a diagram, a plan whereby we have thicknessing. We shall first do site clearance as usual, then we shall excavate the oversight. We excavate the oversight so that we use to remove all vegetable soil, and also we shall then, of course, when we excavate the oversight, we shall reduce the level up to where the hardcore will lie. Then we shall excavate the foundation trenches. Then we shall lay concrete foundation. The concrete foundation may be the strip footing. We shall do the foundation walling. Then we shall do the hardcore. We do the maram blinding on top of the hardcore. We do the DPM and the anti-termite treatment. We shall take off the formwork. Then we shall finish with the floor bed. In site clearance, just as you can see in the picture, we cut down trees, we cut down the shrubs, we demolish buildings. So how do we measure for the site clearance now that we are given the plan and the section? For the site clearance, we usually use the external dimensions of the wall, then we add the foundation spread. To get the foundation spread, we use the section, and as you can see here, the strip footing is 600 millimeters wide. To get the spread, we take 600, we deduct the 200 for the wall. So if it's 600 minus 200, we get 400. Then we shall divide 400 by both sides, the inside and the outside. So the spread on the outside shall be 200 and the spread on the inside shall be 200. When you are clearing the site and we have when we are clearing the site, we use the external dimensions, then we add the projection on the outside. So in such a diagram, in such a plan, sorry, I'm using diagram, it's a plan whereby the external dimensions you have already been given for the length is 10,000, as you can see here. If it's 10,000, we shall add 200 on this side, external projection, and 200 on this side. So for the length, it shall be 10,000 plus 400. We get 400. For the width, if we are assuming it's a rectangle, so that then we shall deduct this other area here. We shall assume it's a rectangle. We shall assume it's a rectangle up to here. Then you see, we can even use these lines for the dimensions to show this area. Then in case it was a full rectangle, we can take the full rectangle, then we shall deduct this area that I'm shading yellow here, because it's outside the building, and so we shall get the area of the building. So to get the external dimensions, we have already been given 10,000 for the length. For the width, we can add 200 plus, that is 600, that is 800 plus 200, that 4,000 plus 2,800, 6,800 plus 200. So the total dimensions for the width from here up to here, up here, is 7,000. So we can add 200 for the projection on the upper side and 200 for the projection on the lower side, because when we are doing the site clearance, we usually take up to where the trench will cover. So assuming the trench will extend by 200 all around the building, sorry, it should be straight all around the building. This is where the foundation trench shall cover. Sorry, up to there. This is the red line is the foundation spread all around the building, because we have the wall. Now the spread will be 200, and that spread, we have said it's from here, the external part of the wall, to here. You see, we have to excavate even this side, because we need to do this concrete below here. So I hope that is understood. I hope it's understood. So we shall take, when we are taking off and we are measuring for site clearance, because we have the plan has a recess at the corner. We assume the plan is a rectangle, then we shall deduct that rectangle that has recessed into the inside. So the dimensions for that rectangle is 10,400 and 7,400. So we shall say clear the site of all bushes, grass, undergrowth, and burn all arising. Then on the same area, we shall excavate away 200 millimeters deep to remove vegetable soil and deposit them in soil heaps on site average 100 millimeters distance from the site. And also on the same area, we shall excavate in reduced level commencing from stripped level average 125 millimeters deep and cut away from the sides. Now, how do we know the depth for reducing the level? You see, when we have the ground level over here, let me use a red pen. When we have the ground level over here, because that's where we have the ground level, first we shall strip the soil 150 millimeters. No, we shall strip 200 millimeters, because in the notes we had been told vegetable soil is 200 millimeters deep. So we shall strip 200 millimeters deep. After stripping 200 millimeters deep, the whole site, we shall take this level. We still need to reduce this level up to where the hardcore will lie, because the hardcore will lie lower than the 200 mark. So what is this depth from the stripped level that we need to reduce the level? To reduce the level is to excavate more. So we shall reduce the level by, we shall take this 350 to get the depth. 350 plus 25, that is 375. 375 plus 100 for 75. Then we are told from here up to ground level is 150. So 475 minus 150. 475 minus 150 is 325. 325. Then we have excavated strip soil from here up to here 200, which is 200. So we shall take 4. We had, okay, let's take, we had 350, we add 25, then we add 100. So we shall get 475. 475 is the height, depth from here up to here. This one, 475, 4, 7 and 5. 475, we shall deduct 150. We deduct 150 for the above the ground to get the ground level, and we shall get 325. 325, then we shall deduct, and deduct we usually write DDT 200 for the stripped. So we shall remain with 125. Now this 125 is this one here. We shall reduce the level commencing from stripped level, an average of 125 millimeters deep, and cut away from the sides. So I hope that is clear. After we have taken off site clearance for the rectangle, the assumed rectangle, we say assumed because we have another rectangle on the inside that we need to deduct from that rectangle. This part here, let me show using my highlighter. This part of the rectangle is outside the plan. This one here. So this one, the dimensions of this part, we need to deduct them from that rectangle that we have taken off in terms of site clearance. And now I want to explain to you in detail how we are able to subtract these dimensions of this rectangle. Remember, when we were measuring for that rectangle, let me use my pen. I'm sorry, I may take a bit more time here. We gave an allowance for the foundation strip all around the building. We gave an allowance for 200 for the strip, and I said 200 comes from taking the total strip width is 600. We deduct the wall 200, we divide by the two sides, the internal and the external, and that is how we have been able to measure for the site clearance, because in site clearance we have to include that part whereby we are excavating in the foundation. So using the red dotted line as the area that we are adding for the spread of the foundation to cater for site clearance, we say the site clearance, we take the external dimensions plus the external spread on both sides. Now we want to know what are the dimensions for this rectangle over here, which is maroon in color. So what is the dimensions of this rectangle here that we have shaded? So to measure that rectangle, we shall measure, you can see the red part from here up to here. It's the length of the rectangle for site clearance. Now we want to know what is the dimensions of this rectangle. So we had measured from this here to here. So we shall subtract from here, the red part, to here, so that we can leave from here. Let me show you. We can leave the yellow part. I will highlight in yellow. I'll use my yellow pen to shade this spread here. We shall leave it because the walls, these walls here, the walls that are blue in color, the walls here, you see this wall for the wind part, I'm shading blue. It needs some spread. That spread can be compensated by this spread which is orange in color over here, or we can take 5800 from here up to here plus 200 is from here to here. That one is together with the wall. 5800 plus 200 is 6000. 6000 we can add from here to here, 6200. Then we deduct from here, because here we need some spread. I'll mark it using black. Here we need some spread for this wall, so this spread for here, you see this wall needs some spread. The blue wall needs this black spread, and it also needs the black spread will also spread to the other wall here. This is a concept where many students don't get it, and I am really trying to show you how it is done. This black part is the spread for these walls of the rectangle which are inside. Now to calculate from here, from the black part, now we can deduct all these other parts. These other parts we can deduct it, and we shall remain comfortably, this black part we can remain comfortably with the dimensions for the plan. So from here up to here, what is the dimensions? We shall take 5800, we deduct 200 for the spread over here, 200 plus, so 5800 minus 200, 5600 plus 200 for the thickness of the wall, we get 5800 plus the spread 200. Or else we can just take 5800 plus 200, then we leave the spread on this side, and it will cater for the spread of the wall. I am hoping that I'm making sense. If I need to do another video, I'll do it so that you can be able to understand this one. I don't want to take a lot of time here. So it shall be 5800, this one. We deduct 200 for the spread of the wall which is in blue. Then we add 200 for the thickness of the wall plus the spread of that imaginary wall we had added 200. So we shall get 6000, and the width shall happen the same. So we shall take 2800, we deduct 200 over here plus 200, then we add 200 here. So we shall get 3000. So it shall be 6 meters by 3 meters. Deduct detail for the last 3 items on void, the previous items which were site clearance. We shall deduct this area for the site clearance, we shall deduct this area for removing the vegetable soil, and we shall deduct this area for reducing the level. Now we shall go to excavating the trench, and in excavating the trench we need the centerline for the trench. How do we find the centerline for the trench? The centerline for this trench, we shall take the external dimensions for the trench, then we shall deduct a number of corners times the thickness of the trench. The external dimensions of the trench, we already have the external dimensions is 10,000. Now the external dimensions of the trench shall be, you remember the wall is sitting at the center of the trench, because the trench, the width of the trench is 600 and the wall is sitting at the center of the trench. So from here to here it's 200. So we shall add 200 on both sides. We shall get the external dimensions of the trench as 10,400, and the external dimensions of the width of the trench to be 7,400. So what is the perimeter for the external dimensions of the trench? It shall be 10,400 plus 7,400, we get 17,800. We multiply by 2, we get 35,600. Then we deduct number of corners, there are 4, then the width of the trench is 600. So that is 600. We deduct 2400, we shall get 33,200. So 33,200 shall be our center line for the trench. Then we shall find, remember in our previous video whereby I explained how to do center line, we said that center line for rectangles and center line for a rectangle with a recess at the corner, they are the same. That's why we are not going into so much details. Center line for a rectangular plan and a center line for a rectangular plan with a recess at the corner, the center line is the same. So we will assume it's just a rectangle, calculate the center line and use it. Now we need to calculate the depth of the trench. The depth of the trench, we can see the concrete, if we use what we are given, the concrete is 100 millimeters. Concrete, I'll use the red pen so it can be much easily visible. 100 millimeters concrete, then we have 25 millimeters blinding, then we have 350 millimeters of hard core. So the total depth for the concrete, blinding and hard core is 475 millimeters. What is the depth that we shall not excavate for? Because 150, if you look at here, it's from the ground level to the top of the concrete. That one we shall not excavate. So we shall take 475 minus 150, which is above the ground. We need to excavate 325. Remember we deducted 200 when we excavated for vegetable soil. So we reduced the level to hard core by 125 millimeters to get to the reduced level. We are still looking for the depth of the trench. The trench from the ground level to get to the vibrated reinforced concrete is 1800. 1800. To add the concrete, we get the total depth of the trench below the ground is 2000 millimeters. So what is the depth of the trench that is remaining to be excavated? We have already excavated 200 for the vegetable soil and 125 for the reduced level. So we have already excavated 325 millimeters and we have 2000 millimeters below the ground. So the remaining depth that we need to excavate is 1675 millimeters. For the first stage, we usually excavate in stages of 1.5 meters. So 1675 with less 1500 millimeters, we shall excavate in two stages, one 1500 millimeters deep, the other 175 millimeters deep. So the total depth that we need to excavate for the trench, one is 1500 millimeters deep and the second stage is 175 millimeters deep. Remember, we were told that rock exists at 1500 millimeters below the ground level. So what is the depth of the rocks that we shall excavate? So it shall be the total depth of the excavation. We need to excavate a total of 2000 millimeters below the ground. Below the ground is 2000 millimeters and rock begins 1500 millimeters below the ground. So the rock that we shall excavate will be 500 millimeters. Notice, below the ground. So you have taken 2000 millimeters below the ground. That's where we're excavating. Rock starts 1500 millimeters below the ground. So the depth of the rock that shall be excavated, and because it should be measured, because the rates are different from that of the excavation, is 500 millimeters. So we shall go to excavating foundation trenches commencing from reduced level, not exceeding 1.5 meters deep. So we shall take the center line for the trench, then the width of the trench is 0.6, then the depth of the trench, first stage is 1.5, not exceeding 1.5 meters deep. The next stage is commencing from 1.5 meters deep, not exceeding 3 meters, but we saw that it was remaining 175 millimeters, so it shall be 0.18. Still the center line, the width of the trench, then 0.18. Then we shall measure for extra over excavation on rock. You know, rock shall be just extra because we have measured the trenches, so there'll be an extra cost that comes with excavating the rock. So we shall take the center line of the trench, the width of the trench, and the depth of the rock that we shall excavate. Then after we excavate the rock, we need to cut it away from sides because we will not use it to refill. So the next step, we need to plank and strut the sides of the excavation trenches. Remember, the external walls are the ones which have a foundation. That's why we are not concerned with the thicknessing yet, because thicknessing shall only be concerning the takeoff when it comes to the hardcore. So planking and strutting and dewatering the sides, keeping the trenches away from the water, we measure it at item because we allow a provisional sum in the bill of quantities. Okay, and I already said that I made a video about the sums that we include in the bill of quantities, so kindly check it out so that you can be able to understand these sums that you're likely to get in the bill of quantities, the provisional sums which cannot be measured from the drawings. We go to the mass concrete in the foundation strip. Note that this diagram, this section, we do not have blinding, so we shall go to the mass concrete in the foundation strip, and the mass concrete is measured using center line, the width of the trench, then the depth of the concrete, which is 200. It's shown here. So it is mass concrete in foundation strip. For that volume of mass concrete, we need to deduct from refill and ram and add to cutaway, because refill and ram is the soil that we shall use to refill, but this one we need to cut it away because it has already been replaced by the concrete. Okay, so we need to now measure the walls that shall be constructed in the foundations. So 200 millimeters thick wall, stone walling in cement sand ratio 1:3 mortar joints. We shall take the center length of the walls, then the depth of the walls. What is the depth of the wall? The foundation wall, from here on the section up to here, it's this part, from here up to here is 1800. If we add 150 to get to the top of the concrete, then we deduct this concrete, we shall be able to get from here up to here. We have taken this total depth from the concrete to the vibrated reinforced concrete, then we deduct the concrete, so we shall remain with the height of the wall. So 1800 plus 150, we get 1950. Then we deduct the oversight concrete, which is 100, we shall remain with 1850 millimeters. So the depth is 1.85. So the height of the foundation wall that we have constructed, we need to reduce that volume of that stones from the refill and ram, the soil that we were using to return and add to cutaway. We need to dispose it away from the site. So what is the volume of the stones that have replaced in the soil? The foundation wall, we had so the total was from here up to here, it was 1950. Then we have deducted 100 for the concrete. We have deducted 25 for the blinding, because the foundation wall has replaced soil. It's only replacing soil where there was soil. Above the ground there was no soil, so this part, there is nothing that the foundation wall is replacing. And also up to the reduced level, because that's where this foundation wall is replacing from this part down here. This part, let me highlight it in yellow. The foundation wall, let me highlight in yellow. The foundation wall is only replacing this part below the reduced level, because this other part did not have soil. The part in blue did not have any soil. Though there is a foundation wall, there was no soil over there. We had already reduced the level. So the foundation wall is only reducing the part which is yellow in color, and that's why we want to find the volume of that yellow part. So the center line will remain to be the center line will, let me pick a red pen. The center line will remain to be that is 3.20. The width of the stone wall is 0.20, 200 millimeters thick. The depth from here up to here, we need to take we take the total of the depth, which is 1950, from here up to here. Then we reduce 100 for the concrete, 25 for the blinding, and 350 for the hardcore, and we remain with 475. 1475. It is 1475. So so we shall take 1.48 to get the total volume of the stones that have replaced the soil, so that we can take that volume of soil, we deduct from refill and ram and add to cut away. Now we shall go to hardcore. We shall take off the area that hardcore shall be applied. So hardcore is always placed inside the walls. For example, this is the wall, this is the inside the wall. So you know, we don't place hardcore where we have the foundation walls on top of them. So we only do hardcore inside the external walls, and in case we have walls passing inside the building, we only do it inside the rooms. So now that I have highlighted where we shall do the hardcore, and remember that at first we are assuming this is a full rectangle. So let me just show the full rectangle that we are measuring. The full rectangle is 9.60, because this is 10 meters, this is 10 meters on the outside, the external dimensions. We subtract the walls, 200 on both sides, we get 9.60. For the width, it was 7,000 was this total width. Then we deduct 200, we get 6.6 for the width. Then the thickness, the depth of the hardcore is 350 millimeters hardcore, it is 0.35. Now that one was for the rectangle. We need to deduct this part, this rectangle, for the void. So I shall highlight it in yellow. This area needs to be deducted, or this area. So now that we have the internal dimensions of the hardcore, to deduct this yellow part, because this yellow part shall not have the hardcore, we shall take the dimensions of the yellow part. The dimensions of the yellow part shall be, we shall take this 200 plus 5,800, 6,000. Then for the width, 2,800 plus 200, 3,000. So it shall be 6,000, 3,000. Then the depth of 0.35. That one is for the void. Then we have this thicknessing that has happened below the wall. For this wall passing here in between this wall, I'm shading it in red. This wall, we need to we are thicknessing the wall with concrete below here, so it shall reduce the volume of hardcore and add the volume of concrete. So what is the volume of this concrete that has replaced the hardcore? Now that this one is a triangle, and we have two triangles, this side and this other side. if we combine these triangles, they can form a rectangle. So now we have concrete from which is here to here to here. All this is concrete. All this is concrete. Then we have triangles on both sides. If we combine the triangles, they will form a rectangle from here. Let me show you using highlight. This is the sorry, I use a highlighter. This is the rectangle that will be formed. The yellow rectangle will be formed by two triangles. The two triangles will be measuring. The base is 150. The base is 150 here. The depth is 200 minus 50, 150. So you can see it's a 150 by 150. So it can form a square here, 150 by 150, made of two triangles. So if we are finding the volume of this hard coal that has been reduced, we shall take 3.60. 3.60 is the depth, is the length of the wall from the inside to inside. This 3.60. Then the width of that trench for that thicknessing is 0.35, because you shall take this 200 plus 150. 200 plus 150, we shall get 0.35. 0.35. Then let me use a red pen which is a bit more visible. The yellow one, you can see 0.35 is the width of the trench. 3.6 is the length of that wall. Then the thicknessing, the depth of the thicknessing is 0.15, which we have taken 200 minus 50. Okay, so next we shall go to taking of maram blinding. The maram blinding shall be on top of the hard coal, but you can see the maram blinding, unlike the hard coal which we are measuring the volume, the maram blinding we are measuring the area. So on section XX, where we have this triangular, you can see the length, how it's going. We need to take the total length of that one. Then the thickness of the maram blinding will remain to be 50 millimeters. So to find the area, we need to take we shall take the internal dimensions. We shall take the internal dimensions of the walls, external walls. Of course, we shall take it as a rectangle, because it's a rectangle with a recess. It's the internal. Then we shall subtract all this area. All this area we will not be having the maram blinding, because the maram blinding is on the hard coal. Then, but for this length here, we shall take the total length here on section XX. So that's what we are calculating here. You can see it's called hypotenuse of this triangle. We shall take the height is 150, the base will be 150. 150 squared plus 150 squared, square root is to 12.13. So the length is 10,000, the width is 7,000. The length will increase. Okay, so the hypotenuse here is 212 and the other side 212. So 212 times 2 is 14.26. Then we add the base 200. Then because we have been able to find the total length, we shall deduct 150 thickness of the wall that was already here, 150, so that we can it is compensated by the hypotenuse, base, hypotenuse. So we shall get 10,464.26, and the width shall remain to be 7,000. Then because 10,000 and 7,000, so the 7,000 were the external dimensions, we need to deduct the walls. we deduct the walls on both sides, which is 400 and 400. So the length for the maram shall be 10,064.26, and for the width shall be 6,600. So that's why we have 10.06 and 6.60. Then we deduct 6 meters by 3 meters, because from here it's 200 plus 5,800, 6 meters. Then we take 2,800 plus 200, 3 meters. Okay. So we shall go to treat surface of hard coal with approved insecticides. The surface of the hard coal that we shall treat is on top of the maram blinding. So the same dimensions that were on the maram blinding will be on the treating with approved insecticides. The DPM shall be applied on top of the maram blinding, but it shall include the walls. So the dimensions for the maram blinding, you add 0.4, and also for the wind the same. Then you deduct 6 meters by 3 meters for the void. Okay, so now we shall go to vibrated reinforced concrete for the oversight concrete. The oversight concrete is 100 millimeters thick. So this one is usually measured in square meters. To measure it, we shall take the external dimensions of the rectangle, which is 10 meters and 7 meters, because of course we concrete even on top of the walls. Unlike the hard coal, the concrete usually goes even above the wall. If you can look at the section, it will be able to show you that the concrete is even on top of the foundation wall. So we shall take the dimensions of the external wall, which is 10,000 and 7,000. Then we shall deduct the void. The void now shall not include the walls. Then also the external dimensions for the concrete is 10,000 and 7,000. This one, 10,000, 7,000. Then we deduct the void, which is 6 meters and 3 meters. 6 meters is 5,800 plus 200. 3 meters is 200 plus 2,800. So then we shall add the thicknessing. When you are adding thicknessing, you see the volume of the concrete, the thickness is 150, so it's measured in square meters. So because it's 150 millimeters square meters, so what is the thickness of the trench? It is 3.5, because we say that this concrete shall form as a rectangle here. This one is 200, we shall add 150, we shall form this way. So this triangle here, this triangle here is there. Then this one, which is here, it is a replacement of this other triangle on this other side. The one that this one is this one. Okay, so it will form a rectangle, and the base of that rectangle is 0.35, 200 plus 150. Then the depth will be 150. Then the length of that nini shall be below the wall, and the wall is 3.6. So the length of the wall 3.6. Then the width of the thicknessing, which is 0.35. So you remember, concrete, oversight concrete, any concrete that is 150 millimeters thick or 100 millimeters thick is measured in square meters. So that's why we only add it. So the rates are given like this. You write the 150 millimeters on the description column and 100 millimeters on the description column. Now finally, we shall measure the stone formwork. Stone formwork, we shall measure the external. You see, like dimensions. From here, the external is 10 meters. Then for the width is this one plus this one, which adds up to 7. Then for the other length shall be this one and this one, which adds up to 10. And for the other width is this 7 one. So it is 2 times 10 and 2 times 7. We shall finish. We we shall finish with centerline or reinstatement. We need to return the soil outside the external walls. After stripping, we need to return it back so that it can take the ground level, to avoid leaving some space outside the external walls. So what we shall do, we shall take the external dimensions of the walls, that is 10,000 and 7,000. Then we shall add the spread, which is 400 and 400, 200 on both sides. So here we shall get 10, 800, 10, 400, 400. Then this one we shall get 7, 400. So after that, we need to get the total perimeter, which is 2 times 17,800. 2 times 17,800, we shall get 35,600. 35,600. Then we shall less 800. So we shall get 34,800. So we shall go to, so we shall note it in the takeoff sheet as 34.80 for the center line. Then the width of the reinstatement is 0.20 because it's the spread on the outside. Then the depth of reinstatement, remember we had stripped 150, then we reduced the level by 125, so the total shall be 0.28. So this is the volume of soil that we shall remove from cutaway, then we add to RFR around the foundation wall externally. So thanks a lot for watching. In case of any questions, write them in the comment section. I'll be able to answer them. In case you like this video, kindly give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to our channel, kindly subscribe to our channel. Share our videos to your classmates, invite them here so that you can be able to revise together. So have a good day.